Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Lucy, and today in this video I'm going to be talking to you about how you can best support those around you that have chronic illnesses. Normally in my videos I speak directly to people that have IBD or chronic illnesses in general, but this week I am switching it up a little bit and I'm going to be talking about those who identify as being able-bodied and how they can help their disabled friends or coworkers, etc. Without rambling any further, here are 5 ways you can support your friends and loved ones that have chronic illnesses. Number 1, don't push us beyond our limits. For example, if we are out at a bar or dancing or at a party or a New Year's Eve night out, and we start to feel really fatigued and we think that we might want to go home, don't try to push us to stay out further than we have already set in our boundaries. I know that this can sometimes be hard if you are in college or high school and you really want to just stay out late and go hard, but for some of us that's really not healthy and it can actually take a toll on us the next day. And so don't try to push us beyond our limits and our boundaries that we have set. If we say that we need to go home, then, we can always hang out another time. We can hang out maybe the next day, but we're going to need to go home and get some rest. So don't try to push us to stay out later than we normally would want to. I know that we are just so fun to hang out with and you don't want to see us go, but sometimes we can't make it till 1 in the morning on a New Year's Eve party or can't stay out till midnight on Halloween night. Sometimes our bodies get really tired and they tell us that we need to go home and get some rest and that we shouldn't really be out that late. And if we're starting to feel that way, just believe us and we can hang out another time when we're more well rested. To go even deeper into that advice, the friends that I've had in the past that didn't necessarily work out super great were friends that kind of always had a very specific plan in mind when they wanted to hang out, or they always wanted to do something really active because that was their personality. And so I kind of felt like I always had to break the news to them that I couldn't do that. I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't go rock climbing. I couldn't go to the club all the time. I can't go to the bar all the time. And so those friendships became kind of strained because that's what they always wanted to do. That's what they always suggested, which is fine, but I wasn't the friend to do that with. That was really hard for me. And so the friendships that I have now that work out really well are friendships with people that they suggest something to do that is within my realm of comfort. I don't always have to bring it up. So they can be the ones to suggest, hey, how about we have a movie night? How about we have a coffee date? How about we have a craft night? And if I'm feeling up to it, I can suggest going out to the club, going dancing, going on a hike. But friends that don't always suggest that you go out and push your limits and expend a lot of energy are really good friends to have, in my opinion. Friends that can sense when your energy is low, or friends that can sense when you're having a flare, and they can provide the suggestions of doing something really low-key so that it's not always up to you as a person with a chronic illness to have to turn it down when it's an activity that you can't do. Number 2, please keep our dietary restrictions in mind when you suggest places to go out to eat. A really simple one would be if you know that I can't have dairy because of my Crohn's disease, then don't suggest going to an ice cream shop. But to expand on that a little bit further, maybe just before you make your plans to go out to a restaurant for your steamy date or just to hang out with a friend, just confirm really quick what they may or may not be able to eat and make sure that whatever restaurant you have planned has options for them. When I was in high school, I ran into this problem quite a lot because friends that I had or acquaintances that I had would suggest going to places that I could not eat at all, and that's where they would want to go. And I felt like I wanted to hang out with my friends, so I'll go, I'll tag along, but then the only things I could eat would be like a salad or French fries. And they would be able to get a whole meal, but I wasn't able to eat anything at that restaurant for whatever reason. And then if they wanted to hang out for the rest of the night, they had already had their dinner, but I was really hungry because all I had had was a salad or some French fries, or nothing at all. Sometimes I would go to a restaurant just to hang out with my friends and not even be able to eat anything. And so that's something to keep in mind, just what we can and can't eat. Just run it by us really quick before we confirm where we're going to hang out. Number 3, assume that we have tried everything that we know of to help our chronic illness. Unless you are a doctor or a loved one with a lot of personal experience with this particular chronic illness, or unless you're a patient that has the chronic illness yourself, just assume that we probably know the treatments that are out there. We probably know what treatments are true and what are just old folklore. I'm speaking on behalf of myself, not on behalf of everyone, but for me personally, it can be kind of exhausting when you hang out with friends or family and they suggest, I knew this one person that had Crohn's and they went on this specific diet and now they're fine. Or my friend had Crohn's and they didn't have to take a biologic, so are you sure you need to be taking a biologic? Just assume that we have spoken with our doctors, we are our own expert on our bodies, and we know what has worked for us and what hasn't worked for us. Again, there are some exceptions to that. If you do work in the medical field or you have strong personal experience with what I'm dealing with, and you heard of something new or you have a suggestion, then I would welcome that. But in general, don't assume that you know of a cure that we have never heard of that would completely fix our chronic illness. Number 4, don't comment about our weight, please. This can probably go for a lot of people, not just people in the chronic illness community, but especially in the chronic illness community, weight can be a really touchy subject. Either if you have gained weight or lost weight, it might not be something that you chose to do, and it might mean that your disease is flaring up, whether you've gained weight or lost weight. And so making comments on somebody's weight when they have a chronic illness might not necessarily be a compliment in the way that you mean it to be. Again, with my last piece of advice, if you are a medical professional or a really close loved one and you have my best interests and medical concerns in mind, then I personally would welcome your feedback if you are truly concerned about my health and well-being and you have a comment to make on my health or my appearance or my weight, then personally I would be okay with that. But I'm speaking in general with friends, family, coworkers. If you haven't seen me in a while, or if I walk into work wearing a different type of clothing that shows my weight a little bit more, you don't need to comment on it. Sometimes people that have IBD can gain weight from being on steroids to try to deal with the flare-up, and that may not have anything to do with exercise or the foods they're eating or anything related to their lifestyle at all. I know that personally, when I've been on prednisone before, I have gained quite a bit of weight, and while nobody made any kind of comments to me at the time, it would have made me uncomfortable if someone made a comment about gaining weight when it was really due to the prednisone to help heal my body. While I personally haven't had to deal with comments about gaining weight, I have had to deal with a lot of comments over the years about losing weight. Again, as with gaining weight, losing weight can be a result of medication, of illness, of not being able to eat because of your symptoms, etc. And it can be completely out of our control. For many of us, we can already be feeling personally insecure about gaining weight or losing weight as a result of chronic illness. And so when we receive those comments from the outside, it can make us feel even worse. I once worked at a place where I had some coworkers that would often comment on me being underweight or too skinny, and it made me uncomfortable in my workplace because in order to defend myself, I felt like I had to explain my chronic illness in the office, which I didn't always want to do. And I would often receive comments about how I needed to eat more, how I looked too thin. And I was eating and I was actually really healthy, but because of my chronic illness, I had some troubles gaining weight. And so that is a personal matter, and so I don't personally think that it's always welcome to make comments on people's weight. Number 5, and the last piece of advice I have for you today, is that if you can tell that we are struggling or if we ask for help, offer to help and lend a hand. Whatever that looks like to that individual person in that moment, it's different depending on the person, depending on the situation, but in the moment, try to read the situation. If your friend is searching for a bathroom or an elevator or an accessible parking spot and they seem to be having some difficulty, offer to lend a hand. Don't have to insist. If they feel like they can handle it on their own, you can let them do it on their own, but it doesn't hurt to try to offer to lend a hand, and if they ask you, certainly be there to help them. That is all the advice I have for you today, and this video is dedicated to my awesome friends, family, and community and support network of people that help support me every single day, and y'all know who you are. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!